Hi, welcome, Larry, and happy holidays, everybody. So, Loretta Green Williams is the WOCPSN. I'm finally figuring out how to say that. You guys say
Uh-huh.
it so fast. Founder and Chief Executive Officer, Director. As a post colonial anthropologist and over 30 years of community advocacy, Loretta combined her academic and community advocacy experiences. She is past president of the Pan African Chamber of Commerce and former executive director of the Ethiopian Cultural Community Center in Oakland, California, close to me. She has a master's degree in sports management and a bachelor's in sociology with certification in ethnic studies from the University of San Francisco. Loretta is the founder of UCSF's Sister Connection, founder of Caribbean Diaspora Professional and Business Association, and co-founder of the Caribbean Magazine. Welcome, Loretta.
Thank you for having me. Thank
Oh, it's so
you.
my pleasure. So I'm going to start this out with kind of the genesis of how this all got started. Many of you might know what my history is as a clinical psychotherapist, and I'm also really a teacher at heart. And so what I do know is that patterns that are created in childhood impact us as grown-ups. And we talk many times about business and how you got where you are, but this is called under the hood. So we're going to kind of go under the hood a little bit about Loretta, and she's going to share with us some of the things that have led to her success and also some of the things that she might have had to work on. So this is my first question to you, and welcome everybody. Tell us a little bit, Loretta, about your background, about your family of origin, where you come from, just a little bit of that. That would be great.
Absolutely. I'm a Harlemite, true and hardcore Harlemite. I was born in Harlem Hospital, and my family goes back to Harlem, back to 1890, Brooklyn, 1862. So when I say I'm a New Yorker, I'm a New Yorker. Okay. Although I lived in California for 22 years, when I retired, came back home and just loved being back around family and people that I grew up with. My origin is, of course, from the South via Jamaica. My grandfather was a Maroon that was stolen from Jamaica and was enslaved in the Charleston, South Carolina area. What is interesting about that, the Austins, there was a plantation that was owned by an Austin family. And I can trace my maternal as well as parts of my maternal side from that plantation. I do have quite a few members, distant cousins and members that still live in the area. My dad, with the great migration of the 1920s, 1910 and 20, leaving the South and coming north. That's how my dad came to New York. We did have family members prior to that time, and we settled there. My dad then left, moved to Philly, from Philly to Jersey, and that's where I was raised, in South Jersey. Now, what is interesting about that, in reference to my relationship of historical lineage, I was sharing that with our GSP, or monthly convene, this morning. My dad raised me to be active in the community. If the community needed, it was our responsibility to make sure their needs were being met. Example, because it was South Jersey, a lot of farms, my dad strategically positioned himself where he could go to the farms, gather the vegetables and the fruit, and we would distribute it to the community. Did we need it? No. We were pretty economically sound, but there were people in the community that were not. My father taught me my responsibility is community. If there's one person in need, that means we are all in need. It is my responsibility to assure that we all eat. And that's what he told me. We all must eat.
Wow.
So I do what I do so we can eat.
So the genesis again of your activism, right, comes from your family and from your dad.
Absolutely.
And so what kind of behaviors and patterns did you develop? You've given us one in response to your upbringing. What were some of the real other pieces that impacted you that now show up in your work today?
Don't be afraid to speak against the negative, the wrong, the negative doings, the opposition. I'm not afraid of the opposition. And I was raised to be strong in that capacity. Exampling my father again, It took him 2 years to become a member of the volunteer fire department in our community because racism would not allow him to be a member. But he never stopped fighting until he got on there. Why? He saw, and I remember as a child, a family burned to death in their home because the fire department members could not get to the firehouse in time to get the trucks to come let out the fire. Community members tried to help and they couldn't help. That angered him to the point where he was going to do something about it. What he did not stand and say, do something. He stood up and did something himself. That is a part of who I am. I will stand up against wrong and speak against it. And there's nothing, listen, I'm gonna be real, get ready for this. I'm old, black, and po. Ain't nothing you could take from me.
I love it, Loretta. I just love it. So here's another question. Okay, what are the patterns that you developed that haven't worked for you so well? What did you have to kind of work through?
Yeah, it was a
Yeah,
really interesting one.
yeah.
I had a yoga teacher because of my experience in fitness. I had 22 years in the fitness industry, and one of the aspects is yoga. I'm a certified yoga instructor back in the day. And he always told me that my energy is so strong when I come into a room that I have to remove myself from that energy because it shuts people down. And I really tried to do that to the point where it started to affect me emotionally. I was becoming depressed because he's telling me when I come into a room, I have to quiet my spirit. I can't. It is a spirit of fire. And so what I had to do is renegotiate that. And one of the ways of renegotiating that is I step back. And when I come into a room, I don't let anybody know I'm there. And I watch. Then I come out of my mouth. No, what we say, out of my neck. I will come out of my neck.
So you had to kind of quiet yourself down,
Yeah,
right?
I had to
And
quiet the
that,
spirit.
of
Yeah,
course, created conflict, right,
yeah,
within. So, as you said, you had to find a way to negotiate it that you can kind of sit back and at the same time, then you could still be yourself, right?
exactly.
When we're not ourselves, what happens?
There's a disjuncture.
Mhm.
And within that disjuncture, you can feel it spiritually. Your walk doesn't feel right. Your movement is out of alignment of who you are. And I think that if I could share with people is you must be who your spirit says you are. You know, you can say it's a spirit guide, it's an animal guide, you can call it what you want, but it's that internal thing that keeps you moving forward that you must follow that path. And when someone takes you off that path, that's when it becomes problematic for you.
Yeah. So how did this kind of impact your mom, right?
So
So yes, so tell us a little bit about your parenting and some of the struggles maybe with this great spirit. How did your daughter, you have one daughter, I know. Do you have more than one?
So yeah, so let me tell you the story, and I don't share it often, but I will share it in this capacity. I have two children, two daughters. My youngest daughter in 2001 was shot in the heart by her boyfriend in a domestic altercation. Now that's something I had to live with, but let me tell you how deep this rabbit hole is. They were able to inform that my daughter was a homeless girl and had no family. She stayed in the morgue for 72 hours without being identified by family members. Um, where the young man that shot her, he only did 36 months and out. There's just multiple wrongdoings. And so we're going to talk about this. Let's talk about this. Here we have this Black young woman who life did not mean enough where people would impact her life. And we've seen this over and over again. And that's one of the things that I'm always addressing. We'll put that aside for right now, but that's the first child. The second child is, and I always love showing this, it's Dana Verde. Look her up on IMDb. She's a filmmaker. And one of the things I did with my children when they were young is in the summertime, what they had to do was read a book. Now, not a child's book. They had to read a book. So my daughters read Harriet Tubman. Took them a whole summer to read it, but they had to read it. They read Angela Davis. They read Bell Hooks. And when they read it, they had to write a report. I need to understand that they comprehended what they read. That instilled in them to the point where now Dana is the type of author and writer that she's telling stories of marginalized people and is very comfortable in that discourse. And she always reverts that back to what mommy did. Now, when she was younger, she hated it. Of course, she hated it. She hated her friends being around me because I'm always preaching. Hate it, hate it, hate it. And there were times she goes, let's just go. Don't go in the house. Let's just go. Okay, fine. But the thing is the seed was planted, and that's the key, to plant that seed. And it was nurtured through time, and now it has grown into the tree that this tree can stand on its own.
So I'm wondering, as you're all listening, do you feel Loretta's power? You know, just her energy and what she brings. And I know, Loretta, that this has not been an easy path.
No,
What were some of
no,
the
it
other
has not.
obstacles that you had to overcome, given your background, your history, your race, your personality? What were some of the other things that you had to overcome?
1969, when I was a sophomore in high school in Violin, New Jersey, we had a protest, and what Black and brown kids were trying to do was to soften, to relax the dress code. Because you remember back then, girls could not wear pants.
Mhm.
And to fight for education of our own history in school. I had a teacher told me, she goes, in front of the class, you are nothing. You will never be nothing. You're nothing now, and you never will be. And that could have broken me because I felt something crack in my spirit. And I have a very quick mouth, as you could see. And I told her, oh, really? When I come back as something, I want to see where you are. She sent me to the principal's office. Of course, they tried to suspend me. And that did not work well with my father. When he got started, trust me, I did not get suspended. But, but just the idea that as a young person, this person, an adult, tried to destroy my spirit. And that stayed with me to the point where I am so very careful how people speak to young people. And sometimes my heart aches when I hear people just attacking young people. It's like, even the way they dress. Okay, but why? Why aren't you asking why? Don't challenge them about how they dress. Ask why. Ask questions. And that was something that stayed with me always. So that's what I do, is I ask questions. I'll ask you so many questions, you get sick of me asking, but I need to know why.
Right. So what else can you tell us that, how have you kind of sort of helped yourself? You know, a lot of the things you learned through your family, you learned in response to people kind of challenging you. What else did you, how else, who else did you, who inspired you, kind of, who kind of taught you things, or who did you seek out to kind of become this amazing woman that you are?
In 2009, no, it was 2000. Yeah, no, 2000. I started California Institute of Integral Studies. And I started with the PhD program in post-colonial anthropology. It was actually called social and cultural anthropology at the time. There was this professor, and she is still the love of my life, and I greatly admire her. Her name is Angana Chatterjee. And I adore Audre Lorde. I'm just a prolific study of Lorde's writings. Lorde wrote the saying that we always hear, you can't use the master's tools to dismantle the master's house. And I would often use that. And she said, yes, but you could take the master's tools and negotiate the rebuilding of that house. And it went, it blew my mind. And that stayed with me, that there's always space of negotiation. And you have to understand how to negotiate. Another one that I love and I admire greatly is, we call her Queen Nai in Jamaica. It's Queen Nancy, and she was a warrior that was from Nigeria to help fight the wars, to help Jamaica win some of its liberatory practices. And here's this little woman that was about 5 feet, fighting the British and winning. You know, and that's why you have the maroon states inside of Jamaica. She was one of the originators to help fight that resistance. And so that spirit is in me genetically, and I hold that so sacred that I'm able to fight. And when I think it's so difficult, I have to step back and go, but yeah, but your grandparents were enslaved. You know, you think you got it bad. Think about that. You know, I watched my father go through so much. He told me 2 weeks before he died how he wanted to go to school, and it was like a 5-mile trek. And he was on his way to school, him and his brothers, and these men stopped him and they beat him and made him go back home. And he never told me that story until he was ready to die. And he cried. He said, we're going to fix him. We're going to fix him. You get an education no matter what. So what that does is it motivates me to continue education. Not only am I a teacher, but I'm a learner. I'm always seeking knowledge. And I had a professor in school when I was at CIS. He would go, he was African. He was from the Congo. He would go, my sister, how are you today? And I say, my presence is my resistance. When I show up, that is resistance. When you see me, that is resistance. Because technically, I am not supposed to be there. Technically, people and places and government have done things so I am not present, that my voice is not heard. And I'm going to show up just to show you I'm supposed to be there. I am a United States American citizen. Everything in that Constitution applies to me. And anyone who tells me I cannot receive it, you are a liar and the truth is not in you. I'm an American. All right, now I'm an ordained pastor too. Now we can have church. Come on down. We can have church.
Yes, because I know that you're a preacher as well. Yes,
that's right.
right. And so importantly, right? Because you need to, you needs to find a pulpit to be able to share the things that you're sharing.
A platform, yes.
Right? When we stay small, we don't get the opportunity to do this.
Exactly.
I love the fact that you have taken every opportunity that you possibly can to continue to stand, within who you are. Let me ask you this, Loretta, what kind of sacrifices have you had to make in order to find this path, to take this path?
My biggest sacrifice is financial, because there are opportunities that I could have had from a corporate structure that I've turned away from and work with community. That's why I do so much community work. And my organization that I created when I was in California was a group of colleagues of mine that we all are learned, and we saw where there was needs of community. So we went in and we worked within the communities and made those sacrifices, those financial sacrifices. That was the greatest, was the financial side. And I'm okay with that. I really am okay with that.
Yeah. Because you are very rich in so many ways.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I am so blessed. I am so wealthy. If I were to identify the wealth I have about the love that I have more money than Elon Musk. He ain't got nothing compared to me. Because it is about the love and the commitment that people have. Listen, when I created WOCPSN, just a dream on LinkedIn, I don't know what I was doing. I was just making something up.
Can you tell us what that stands for? Tell us what WOCPN stands for.
Women of Concerned Professionals and Strategic Conscious Networking. We're a group of women that are professional women that we strategically identify how we're going to help communities. We go into communities and we don't say, what can we get from it? We offer ourselves to give to the community. That's the difference in us. We were just saying this morning, we've been using socioeconomic sustainability in our mission statement since 2009. Now everybody caught up with us. We've always been talking about sustainability. Why is that? Community, the environment, it's people. We're always looking at that. That's what we do. And so even in this capacity, what we do globally, we are just taking this platform and go, what do you need? Let's help. Let's do it together. We can make a difference together. We have something we call the not. The not is what you cannot not do. What is it that gets you up in the morning time and you just got to do it? The not is I fall asleep and I get up in the middle of the night and I got to text Louis. My not, that's my not. It
I
is
got
a passion that is in me that drives me to do what I have to do. And I got to do what I got to do.
And you got to do what you got to do. And we all do have our not nots, and it's really,
That's
really
it.
important to kind of identify them. So I want to give everybody an opportunity to ask any question that you would like, anything that you would like to learn from this very learned woman, or anything that you want to share. Adriana, are you
I'm
still?
unmuting right now.
Yes.
So my question is, if you reflect back on your life, and you were to talk to, if you were, as you are today, and you were to talk to that girl or that young lady at some point in time, okay, whether it's when you were a child or when you were 20 or when you were 30, whatever, what would you say to that girl?
Stay strong. Just stay strong. I grew up as an only child. Now I do have paternal siblings and paternal siblings, but I grew up as an only child. One of the problematics about being an only child is you are alone a lot. And there were times when I would do things, but it was so out of the ordinary, everybody else. I thought that there was something wrong with me, that I was strange. I just didn't know that I had a special ability. I didn't realize it in that capacity. So I would tell that young woman, just stay strong. Trust me, stay strong, because there's a reason. If all that I've gone through to get to WOCPSN where it is right now, then my living is not in vain. I did what I had to do to get to where I am today. I love telling people March 5th, I will be 69 years old. There's a reason why it's working now. It's not for me to question the reason, it's to accept that reason and to move forward to the next level. Young girl, stay strong. That's what I tell her.
Very, very, very important. Who else? Here you have an opportunity.
Well, I want to just say, Loretta, I have just enjoyed every single word coming out of your mouth. And your energy, I love it. You know, you say the energy is so strong, but let me tell you something. Your energy is what inspires others. And so what I would say to you is, it's not too much. It's good. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much. And trust me, nobody can stop me if they wanted to. So.
So one of the things that I certainly have learned over the years, it isn't just what you say. You're exactly right. It's your presence. It's the energy that you bring that bring people to you. And I do know, and I know that you have worked a lot on yourself. And I know that the only way to get there is actually working on yourself.
Absolutely.
You know, being
Absolutely.
reflective and kind of what's working for me, what's not working for me, what's this all about, you know, with that constant circle, as I like to think of it. How did I get here? Why did I get here? Asking the questions, not only of others, but asking them of yourself. And this is how we grow. Also,
that's absolutely correct, and I'm glad you said that, because one of the things that I do is I do a goal set at the beginning of a month. I write my goals, what my intent is for that month. I mean, that's everything from how many people I want to reach on LinkedIn, how many people do I want to touch when I walk the street, when I go to church, what do I need to do even in my faith community. I write it all down and I see how I can what I've accomplished throughout the month. And what I don't, I analyze, well, why didn't you? Did you put too much on your plate? Was it not enough on your plate? Where did the missteps fall? I don't blame myself for them. I just take what I didn't do and convert it to the following month. But the thing is, it keeps me moving. And that's the thing, to keep moving.
absolutely.
And the other thing is, I stay around a bunch of young people, Louie and Cheryl and Eric. I stay with the young folks. I ain't got time for the old folk. Ciao.
So you actually gave the definition of mindfulness, which I'm just going to add because I think it's so critical. It's being aware in the present moment without judgment. It's the without judgment, right, that takes us to be able to analyze, like you're analyzing a set of books, you know, what worked, what didn't work. And that constant goal setting and self-reflection creates success. Success is not, and confidence. Confidence is built on little successes. So we have just another minute or two, and I know Loretta, you can talk.
Yeah.
In here to have you talk.
Yes, queen.
But where can they find you if they want to hear more?
Absolutely. You can find me on LinkedIn, of course. You could go to wocpsen.com. We're posted there. Now, we do have a podcast. You can find us there on the website, WOCPSEN. On the front page are all our conversations for the last 3 years. What we do is we post our discourses, include the one we had with Tina, where we had with our Jazzy Jays, which we were excited about. And also with our Global Sustainability Partnership Legacy Summit that's posted. Again, we are posted on YouTube. You can find us everywhere. Wherever there's social media, you can find WOCPSEN. And that's where I'm at, because my life and my heart is this organization. If you want to reach out to me and talk to me, Charles, you can call me and talk. First of all, I'm retired, so I'm sitting at home all day driving my daughter crazy. Please call me, because that gets me off of her nerves. That's number one. Number two, I love to run my mouth, so you don't worry about it. Just call me. That's all. Call me.
Loretta is the one person that I just feel I can just pick up the phone, and it's so easy. You remember the telephone? Yes, we don't have to go through all those different channels. So I want to thank you, and I want to thank everybody for being here, and wishing you all a happy holidays. And if you want to learn more about mastery under pressure, I think again, Loretta is a perfect example of how she manages high stakes, high stress environments with a calm body and a quiet mind, because she's done the work. So feel free to reach out to me, Tina Greenbaum at Mastery Under Pressure, and I pick up the phone as well. Happy to have a conversation. So thank you all, and wishing you all a really, really wonderful, happy, prosperous, wealthy, wonderful new year. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And do I. Be blessed.
All right. Bye for now.